Pixel Expo! Hello, my name is Rain, and I am going to be the host for this cosplay guest section. I hope you guys are excited. So we have 4 of our wonderful guests coming from all over the place joining us today. May you please put your hands together to welcome first, Soylent! Woohoo! Next up, we have Little Gem. As well as Miss Twisted. Last but not least, we have Vera Chimera. Welcome to the stage, everybody. How about we go down this way, and how about you introduce yourselves?
Oh, gee, what do I say? I am Vera Chimera. I have been cosplaying for a long, long time. A lot of people know my work from Borderlands 2 and 3 as live-action Lilith, but I'm also an international cosplay guest, a judge, and I've recently done the Baldur's Gate parody series along with another one of these amazing cosplayers. So, yes, I'll pass it on.
And who are you cosplaying today before?
I am cosplaying CL from Expedition 33. Do we have any mon ami here? Mes amis? I don't know. My French is terrible. I'm going to just pass this over.
Okay.
Hello, I'm Miss Twisted. You guys can call me Charlotte. I've been cosplaying on and off for about a decade now, I think. That's scary. And I've sort of... I've forgotten everything I was going to say now. I'm cosplaying as Juniper today. This is my original character, just because I really like owls and I wanted to make an owl character.
Yeah, very cute. Thank you so much. Pass it along.
Hi, I'm Little Gem, and I'm from England. I've been cosplaying for about 10 years too. I mainly make things that make me look like a Christmas tree and big stupid stuff, really.
Ooh. All right. Right at the very end there.
Yeah, hi, I'm Soylent, or Jen. I've been cosplaying for, I think, like 12, 13 years now, from Sydney, Australia. And I'm mostly known for doing Liara Chisoni from Mass Effect for BioWare, as well as Lilith for Diablo 4 for Blizzard, and being the makeup artist and Lutheran on One for All for Deathstalkers on YouTube.
Yeah, wonderful. And then we're going to jump straight back to you. So I've heard that you've been in Perth, Western Australia for a couple of days now. Can you tell us what your favorite part has been so far?
Oh, well, actually, I got here a day after everybody else, so I didn't get to go look at quokkas like everybody else did. But yeah, no, it's like, it's just really more, this is gonna sound bad. I thought it would be like drier and like more like, not deserty so much, but like sunny. But it's way more lush than I was expecting, and I really love it. The weather's been very similar to the Melbourne weather this time we've been here.
Yeah, at this time of year it is really difficult.
Yeah, but I haven't had a chance to like actually go explore much or anything, but like the vibes are great here. But these guys got to do some fun stuff, so.
Yeah, my favorite thing so far, obviously, is the people. You guys have been so kind, and I hope you're proud of Australia. But also, I got to see some kangaroos, and they were really, really cute. That was like a bucket list for me, so thank you for that. I did get a lot of comments on Instagram. They were very, very sleepy, and everyone was like, are they dead? And I was like, no. So they definitely were not dead. They were sleeping and very chill.
Yay.
All right. My favorite thing about Perth has been just how like the chill vibes are. It doesn't feel like Melbourne where everything feels road ragey and everyone's like barging past you and things like that. Don't love that all the shops close so early compared to Melbourne.
You don't even have to tell me twice. It's so bad.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, stereotypically I'm going to say quokkas are one of my favourite. We went to Rottnest Island a couple of days ago, and that was absolutely adorable. Like, we were literally like crawling on all fours trying to get close to the quokkas to get the iconic selfies. But I've also just loved the nature. Like while we're out specifically at Rottnest, but going to one of the local wildlife parks, just the scenery, the landscape, it is just really beautiful here, and it just makes you realise this whole country in general, like every state is so beautiful and unique in its own way.
And has its own attributes as well, which is absolutely wonderful. Alrighty. Now let's jump into some more deeper questions. And by deeper questions, I mean still surface level. What's one character cosplay that you'd like to do and why?
Oof, okay.
The list of cosplans goes on, I'm aware.
Yeah. I mean, they go on forever. They never end. One of my dream cosplays that I've always been putting off, but I think I'm finally going to start her in next year, is Freya from God of War Ragnarok. Yes. Yeah, you guys got taste. I love Freya as a character, and just the whole costume. It has so many different materials and techniques, and I'd love to learn metal casting with that costume.
Sounds amazing, yeah.
Yeah, just to do that. And of course, I want to do a script, a skit for her, because again, I think she's just really cool.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, her personality is a shining star, so for sure, go for it.
Awesome. My dream cosplay is one I'm working on right now. It's Fern colorway, but specifically level 10 Fern colorway. And any of my fellow Critical Role fans in the comments, in the audience would know exactly what I mean. That is the most ridiculously complicated and poofy skirt you have ever seen in your life. So far, I've been working on it for over a year. Have I finished? No. Am I halfway? No. It'll take me another year, but I will get there.
Yeah, is the complexity of design is something you look into when you're deciding on a costume?
You might have to say that again, sorry.
I'll say it louder here as well. Is the complexity of a design something that you think about before deciding to jump into a project?
Yes, but I will always underestimate the complexity of the design. I knew what I was getting into with this one a little bit. I just didn't know exactly the extent. I've bought like 50 meters worth of silk so far, and I'm still just like, oh my God, how am I doing this?
You're going to be eating and drinking silk for the next 50 years of your life as well.
Yeah.
That's great. We'll pass it over to Little Gem.
I just did my dream costume, which was my King of the Red Lions. I sailed a boat that was also animatronic. So to answer your other question, do you consider complexity? Sometimes no, and honestly, I totally recommend that because I think considering it sometimes freaks you out. And my motto is just, I don't know how to do this, but do it anyway. So yeah.
Yeah, wonderful. Pass it over to the end there as well.
I say this answer all the time, and it's really annoying because I never actually make it, but I've been saying it for years. But I really wanted to make Kerrigan Queen of Blades from StarCraft 2. But I was literally talking to Jen about this yesterday because I was like, but she's got lights under her skin. How do I do that? So it's like, yeah, there's that one. And then I've also gotten really into Trench Crusaders recently, and I kind of wanted to do this is going to mean nothing to anyone who doesn't know the game, but the Temple of Metamorphosis was like announced recently, and it's these really gory Skinwalker type characters with they're very, think the Thing, that kind of like disgustingness, but I'm also like, but then in that case I'm like, now I'm thinking about like, I don't really know, I don't know if even if I make it, if I'm going to be able to post it anywhere without it killing its reach.
Oh, with it getting flagged and stuff? Yeah.
And I don't know if I can wear it to conventions, because conventions have a lot of kids, and it's not really, like, it's not like, it's not like, you know, sexual or anything, but it's like gross and like scary. So it's like, and like FNAF horror stuff is fine with kids because they love it.
Yeah.
Because it's like animatronic, but when it gets into like really gory kind of special effects stuff, it gets into, it gets a bit, Halloween would be cool.
I guess that is something else that you have to think about when deciding on your costumes as well. That's really interesting. I didn't even think about that. Alrighty. Speaking of things going particularly wrong in terms of cosplay, does anyone have any stories about things that went completely wrong? Like, I'm not talking about, I forgot to stick my wig down to my face, something absolutely insane. And what did you learn from it, do you think? Does anyone have any crazy horror stories? Ooh.
I've got one I can start with. Not sure how crazy this is. Very first competition that I did that involved a stage component. Pre-recorded everything. I actually paid a friend of mine to do voice acting for my recording. Got on stage, sound wasn't working. It wasn't like, it was apparently my file that had the issue, right? So I'm getting on stage, first time doing a skit of any sort, and the sound is just like lovely background music, no voiceover. And I hadn't really memorized my lines because, hey, there's a voiceover, I just have to lip sync. I don't have to remember the words. And then they're just looking at me shrugging, and I'm like, okay, what do I do about this? So I said, okay, hand me a microphone. and I'm like, hey guys, I'm just gonna make this up. I just literally made up like a skit on the spot, holding the microphone, basically being, look at me, I'm my character.
Oh my gosh.
It was terrifying.
Yeah, I mean, a massive part of doing cosplay, especially competitions, is how you hold yourself on stage. So being thrown straight into the deep end like that sounds crazy.
Yeah.
We're all very proud of you, though. That sounds very scary.
Thank you.
I have a quick one. Well, actually, I have two. My own horror story isn't really like something went really wrong. It was just kind of something I didn't really think about. Was when I put my Glamrock Chica costume on, which is from FNAF. I kind of almost springlocked myself in my own hat. It was the first time I made the head, and I was just like so enthusiastic. I had such an amazing like reception from the audience that I was like, I gotta get this out quick, because everyone was like, do it, Jim, hurry up. So I put it on, and yeah, it was just way too tight. And I remember I was trying to film the reveal, and I was just like, I think I might cry. But I do have another story though, which is a bit funnier. I watched my friends split their pants at a convention once, and that. I did laugh, and that did make me a bad friend.
I'm so glad that was a happy ending at the very least. Speaking of happiness, what is the favorite or most memorable experience you've had interacting with someone like a supporter or fan that you've ever had? Because I know you guys have been approached quite a bit over the weekend. Do you have any experiences that stick out in particular?
I actually get a lot of people on my YouTube and in person mention that how even just the slightest bit of a distraction has really helped their mental state. A lot of people have actually put up my prints on the wall, and they've said like, you know, they get up sometimes and they see them and they're like, okay, I've got to make something, and pushing themselves to do a hobby has really helped them distract from the real world, and I think that's the most beautiful thing about cosplay.
That's wonderful. Oh my goodness. And building on top of that, do you have any advice for like newer cosplayers, any of you? Because I know that a lot of people here are brand new to the convention scene, because Pixel is a little bit in that gray area where it's gaming and cosplay mixed combined. So a lot of people in the audience and a lot of people out there are asking, okay, do we have to cosplay to these events? What kind of advice would you have for someone who really wants to start out knowing absolutely nothing?
Go for it. Feels so absolutely. Well, okay, for one thing is that, okay, so social media is very much not realistic to how you should be interpreting your entire cosplay journey. I think everyone up here can talk to the fact that when they started out, the costumes looked nothing like this. My first cosplay was Naruto, from Naruto, and it fell apart as I was wearing it at the convention. And I loved it. I loved every second of it. But there's kind of this, there seems to be this expectation these days because of the way that social media works, that everyone thinks that they have to be perfect first time, and they have to be able to, produce incredible works and intricate works. To where to go. One, you definitely do not have to cosplay to a convention. That's not like a necessary thing. It's just if you want to do it, then do it. If you don't, then you don't. It's like a big thing. But if you want to cosplay, never hold yourself to the same standard as the people you're seeing on social media, because even we don't look the same in real life as we do on social media, because we get to pick our angles, we get to pick what we show you. So it's definitely something to keep in mind to when you are making, especially your first cosplay, is to like just remember where you are and where you're starting, and don't compare yourself to people who have been doing it for like 10 plus years, because that's super mentally not great, and also it's just like not realistic, and it's totally fine to not know how to sew and you try to hand sew something and it falls apart. That's part of the journey, honestly.
That's super important. Yeah, I think that's a wonderful message to share. Do you guys consider yourselves professional cosplayers, and how do you define that to someone who might not know?
Look, I think when it comes to professional cosplay, I think, I guess from my personal perspective is being there to represent either a brand or a convention, where people are looking to me or to any of us, for advice and for consult or for an experience. I've had to make costumes, for many clients, from Blizzard to Capcom, for events and experiences. So for me, as soon as there's that professional transaction, and we are very fortunate where we can make a little bit of income from our content creation, then that's where I'd say you are a professional cosplayer. But it doesn't make us any better than any other cosplayers. It doesn't mean our work is absolutely perfect. It just means we're kind of just running things as a business transaction while we're still trading our craft, like any artist would do.
Yeah. Do you have you seen any misconceptions around the idea of a professional cosplayer, and would you like to snuff any of those out now?
not all of us are doing OnlyFans. Now, in saying that, I fully support and celebrate anyone of any kind, doing like either, not safe for work or adult-related content. I'm not against that at all. But especially, I think it's more so for female cosplayers or female, identifying cosplayers where, if you get a little bit of notoriety, if you are sitting on this stage, there are a couple of misconceptions from some individuals out there that believe, oh, you only got that way because you create this kind of content. And to me, like, it not only, it disrespects the true, those kind of content creators, but then it also disrespects us because it's just an assumption that you shouldn't do. No matter what, you should take a human for who they are and never downgrade anyone for their occupation. Just be
and
respectful.
I think that's such an important discussion to have, especially with the five of us sitting here who are presenting ourselves on social media. It's something that we encounter every day, and if you're only perceiving what we're posting, you don't see the comments that we're hiding or the message requests we're receiving, that kind of thing. So it's really heartwarming to hear that that's something that we want to put out there, that we don't want associated with some of us. It doesn't want to be an assumption, so I think that's wonderful. All right, so speaking of professional cosplayers, and you all have worked with such big names, how do you approach sponsors or the idea of getting into that commercial side of it? Where do you start, and how do you start building connections like that?
I think it really is different depending on the country and depending on the brand.
For sure.
For me personally, I can only really speak about is they actually approach me. I get a lot of my friends who actually do approach them, and that can work for them. It can also put off companies sometimes, depending on how you do it. But for me, they normally contact me. I show a lot of passion for games, for anime, films, and that passion comes across in my work. So if you're interested in being able to attract a brand, honestly, just be genuinely passionate about it. Don't fake it, just be genuinely a passion, because that is how I've been. And I've worked with a very long range of companies, and that's how it's worked for me.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was gonna say, I know friends who do reach out to brands and to companies to work with them. I have never done so, because even though, obviously, it looks like, we know what we're doing. But I always get mad imposter syndrome, and I never think that I have work that's good enough to approach brands and be like, you should give me money to make you a thing. So it's really validating when they approach me, because that's what happened with, that's the thing with Liara. This was back in 2020. The reason that they approached me was because I'd already cosplayed Liara, so I'd already shown them that my work would look a certain way, and they knew that that's what they wanted, and so that's why they approached me. So it's very similar, where it's like, if you show that you have a passion for a certain thing, and especially if you're already making the thing, then the company essentially will do something of a costs benefits kind of analysis, and when they do that, they say, well, we have an almost surefire thing here because we can see what their work looks like. It's really a matter of kind of having a good portfolio of work to show clients. I think I did talk to Vera about she helped make a client deck because I was trying to be real professional and made a really cool client deck. Haven't sent it to a single person, but I do have it. And so so I'm not really, I can't talk to the actual approaching brands thing, but I can say that if you generally if you work hard and you show real passion for what you're doing and you kind of reach a level technically, the brands will start to message you. It will usually be small things like wig people or makeup people, or depending on I'm sure that Jem will get animatronic people like that sort of thing. You also get photography and lighting, those things. I know a lot of people end up with those lights on their walls. I think what they're called, but they're the little LED lights that color.
Yeah, Nanoleaf.
Yeah, Nanoleaf. Yeah. So they approach a lot of people being like, can we put your name? And everyone's like, yeah, sure, I'll put a cool thing in the background. It's really easy. But I'm in the similar boat where it's just you make your thing, prove to the world, I suppose, that you have a set of skills that you're able to produce, and then people will approach you being like, okay, you're a pretty safe bet, so we will hire you for this.
Yeah, wonderful.
It took me so long to have the audacity to actually approach anyone, and part of that is the imposter syndrome. It doesn't matter how, sometimes it's almost worse, right? The better you get at cosplay, the more terrible you think you are, because you start to get more of an eye for it. And so to get past that imposter syndrome, to think that you are good enough to actually go out there and approach people, the two biggest things for me for that push was the networking, which is basically coming to conventions, talking to people, getting to know people, asking them about which brands they've worked with, blah, blah, blah. That was one big thing. Another one, which I really like, is this idea of twisting the imposter syndrome into con man syndrome, which is this idea of like, okay, so if I approach this brand and I actually think that I'm a bit of an imposter on the inside, if they sign up, you can kind of have that cheeky little ha ha ha, I'm fooling these guys into thinking that I'm good at what I do. Now I'm going to give them work that they can't see, that they're not going to see how terrible it is from behind. Ha ha ha, I'm so cheeky by fooling them. But you're actually doing a good job. It's just a nice way to overcome that sort of imposter syndrome and thinking you're not good enough. And the thing is, if you approach them, the worst they're going to say is no. And then who cares? You move on.
Wonderful.
You guys covered everything.
Cool.
I wanted to ask, do you have a moment where you consider it your big break? Like the moment where you found that your hobby could turn into a profession? Was there a moment like that for you that was distinctive?
Definitely. It was COVID.
Yeah.
And that was
fair.
because I got onto TikTok. Because I stopped cosplaying for a little while. Just sort of didn't fall out of love with it, but sort of moved away from it a little bit. And over COVID, we're all in lockdown, getting onto TikTok, and it was not the same as it is now. It was this really flourishing space, and rediscovering what cosplay was in this space, and people being able to do these little skits and embody characters in ways that there wasn't really space for that in the past without coming to physical conventions. And I fell in love with it. That's how I developed Juniper, after just being inspired by seeing other creators there.
Wonderful. Is there anyone else that experienced a big break moment?
Yeah, I think mine's kind of like the opposite. It was gradual. So I think it's important to always learn to pivot. You'll see probably some of your favorite YouTubers, content creators, they're constantly changing their actual thing. And sometimes you're like, oh, you're doing something different. Ugh. But honestly, they're probably pivoting for their mass audience rather than their niche. So for me, I started off doing commissions. I then started getting guesting around the world. I couldn't take any more days off at work, so I quit. And that was a big risk, and it was scary. But it then ended up working well because I started pivoting. And then, like Twisted said, when COVID happened, I became more media focused.
Yeah, that's wonderful.
Yeah, because I've got like three, I have the moment when I realized that cosplay was like a thing that I was going to dedicate a lot of my time to, which was like the first time I wore Liara to Sony, because I saw the viral impact, essentially. I'd never seen that many likes or comments on something before, and it was this kind of moment of oh, this is something that people care about, which then that led into the actual big break that I felt was oh my God, I've made it, which was when BioWare reached out to me and was we want you to make, well, not only do we want you to make Liara for us, we also want you to be one of the play testers for the Legendary Edition to make sure it's up to the snuff of the original, because we know, so I was part of a committee, I'm in the credits of Mass Effect.
I can only imagine how crazy that would have been.
Yeah, so I was like, oh my God, I literally played the entire game just to watch the credits, to be my name is in the credits of Mass Effect, which is the game that started this entire career for me. And then more recently, because the weird thing about having a big break is that after the big break, there's it's a real ebbs and flows. You don't just stay up there. Yeah. There's always the time when you're oh no, am I falling off? I'm this is the big break, and now it's because the problem with having a peak is that you're well, that's the peak, isn't it? You need to, what do I do now? I have to either do something even bigger and better, or does that mean I'm going to become irrelevant? Because that's kind of the really scary part about doing.
Because the mental strain of blowing up and then having to mentally prepare yourself. Okay, I'm going to see the numbers go down, and I just have to be ready for it.
Yeah. So that's it's, and you're never really prepared for it. I think you always kind of,
True.
You don't assume you're not going to do it, but you do kind of. It starts going down, you have to kind of pep talk yourself and be well, I'm not making, I'm not I'm not posting every day, I'm not making a thing. But then it's good, because then once that does happen, eventually another peak will come. So it's not just a one, it's basically a bunch of, so I had Liara, I kind of fell off for a little while, and then Blizzard reached out to me, and I got to do Lilith, and that was back up again, and because that was a big 2-day event thing. And so, and then I got known as the Australian Lilith, and so that's my new moniker is that. And so, which was good, because it was like this kind of reality check that the peaks come with the lows, but the lows don't last. Eventually someone is going to take you up again. So that's one of the big things about if anyone's looking at a cosplay, is that if you notice that, when you're like, oh my God, I'm finally doing it, I'm making it, it will go down again, but don't worry, it goes back up again. So it's not all doom and gloom.
Yeah, that's wonderful. All right, Vera as well.
Yeah, thank you. I think my big one was, I mean, of course, it was like Borderlands 2, you know, being able to, you know, fly to America as a nobody and star in this humongous video game. Like that's just something that can, you know.
Surreal.
Yeah, it is absolutely surreal. And at the time, you know, where I was young, insecure, I didn't have, you know, the experiences that I had now. I probably I didn't handle it as professionally as I should have. And again, because I was young, I kind of just hid away and just thought, oh, things will come to me now. Where, no, like you have to work for it, you know. And I actually found that a lot of my, you know, like my big up, as you say, it's only been the last couple of years where I went away, I found my mental health, fixed myself up and got rid of a lot of the insecurities that I was battling with imposter syndrome, with depression, with everything else. And it was from there where I kind of just, you know, it's not that it's not caring, but it's not, you know, caring what others think. Like it's that whole, you know, I'm going to have a crack at things, and if people say no to me, that's okay. I'll just move on to another person. I'll have another go. And it was having that attitude of just saying, you know, let's go with the flow like water. From there, I had all these opportunities come up where I was able to work with 1047 Games, and I was a mocap actor for Splitgate 2. I did the Capcom stuff. I've done a lot of work with Blizzard over the years. It's just all these little things that have kind of come my way, and it accumulates to all these moments where, to me, like this is my up right now. Yeah. You know, where I get to do this. You know, I get to sit on stage with people that I've literally looked up to for my entire life and go, wow, I'm on their level now. Wow, this is a thing. You know, so this is my high right now. I mean, yeah, these guys are wonderful. You're all wonderful. So.
And what's great is that the harder you work, the luckier you get. So you guys have all worked very hard to be here, so we're happy to have you. It sounds like that social media played a pretty crucial role in terms of having that big up or having a social media presence, but with that it comes downfalls as well. How do you guys face online criticisms? Because the comment section can be a war zone at points. So what is your route that you take when it comes to battling criticisms online?
When I started out, I was hyper reactive, and I would be, you know, like every single negative comment, I'd be going on there, you know, either trying to, disengage, you know, and just say, you know, oh, that's not a nice thing to say, or I would try and get just as nasty as them, and that didn't make me feel any better. You know, and in fact, I did step away for a while, and now these days I try to look at it as in a way of, well, they're doing it because either they want a reaction or maybe they're just going through something, and it kind of makes me, you know, I don't know if pity's the right word, but it's just like, well, why are they saying that? Why are they getting a reaction? Do they have low self-esteem? If they do, I understand that, I experience that. And so I kind of just let it go. Yeah. You know, it's not causing me any physical harm. And then to me, I look at the 99% of wonderful comments that I do get. And if I am feeling really bad, I just write it and my friends tell me, like, hey, no, they're wrong. It's
the people that you care about that you receive the criticisms from, because you know that they care about you specifically.
Exactly. Yeah. It's intentionally, it's taking the action to, you know, to go and find the positive. Yeah. You can't engage with the negative because it gets you nowhere. Yeah.
Wonderful.
Anyone else? Yeah.
All right. My biggest thing, if I start to get too many of them come in, I close the computer, I shut it down, I turn off my phone, I touch grass. And I'm not even kidding. I literally, you just need to remove yourself. Like, don't even look at them. I have to do that for a little bit before I start to try and figure out if there's anything else I want to do about that. Because, you know, I've been on TikTok. TikTok's some of the worst that you're going to get for nasty comments. And at some point, I just disengage. You just have to turn it off. even if that means that you don't get to read some of the not lovely positive comments that come through. It's just good to sort of remove yourself and remind you that like it's still real life, but like it's not your whole life. You still have the things in your physical space.
Yeah. Anyone on the end as well, or?
Yeah, well, my thing, yeah, because I am, like, even though I've been doing this for a while, I still am reactive. I can't, like, not in the sense that I do anything, but in the sense that I feel everything really deeply in a way that I can't control.
Yeah.
I've always had that problem. It's just I take everything really, I've got, like, mad rejection sensitivity dysphoria. Like, I really just, like, it puts me out of commission for a little bit. So it's really tricky because there is this like battle you're kind of playing on social media because social media loves engagement, doesn't matter what kind of engagement you get, and it also loves that you keep the engagement going by responding and liking things that people are putting on your posts. So on one hand, it's like the best solution is just to like post something and then just let it exist. So then you don't have to engage with anyone. You don't see the good stuff, but you do see, like, you don't have to deal with any of the bad stuff. You can just kind of be like, you guys can fight it out in the comments, I don't care. But then on the flip side of that, it's Instagram's like, yeah, but you really need to be engaging with your audience because that's part of what, I'm saying Instagram because I mainly use Instagram, but I know it's like most platforms are kind of similar. They like it. They like you to
shows
keep
community.
Yeah, they're like, oh, you're building a community. It's like, yeah, but like 40% of the community are trash, garbage. I don't want to talk to them. So yeah, I'm still working on that. So that's to say that if you do post your stuff online and you are finding that people are saying stuff that you're not really loving, it's totally not. It's actually probably a good reflection on you if you do care, because that's kind of the whole point of what we do is that we care very deeply about what we're doing. Not no one, but majority, 98% of cosplayers do this because they love this and because they love the characters, and so they get really, when someone says something bad, like I get annoyed when someone comes into my post and it's a character, say if I use Mass Effect for an example and I got Liara, and someone goes on, oh, Tali's better. And it's like, cool, what have you added to the conversation? Like, what do I do with that? Cool, all right, go find a Tali cosplayer. I don't really know what you want from me. But my biggest advice is just that if there's someone if it's not like someone who you can give the benefit of the doubt in them being like trying to be, maybe give criticism in a really like not great way, but they're still trying to like remain civil. But the second someone's not civil, that block button is your friend. It's your page. You do whatever you like. Yes, it's a public platform, but your page is your page. You are allowed to kick people off it.
Yes.
So just delete the comments, block the people, get them out of there. Don't give them like even the time of day if they're going to be treating you badly. That's like my biggest advice.
No, that's wonderful.
I'll just be really quick. I want to say, like, everyone has their own tactics. And as a content creator, I think it's important to teach your audience that they don't owe you anything, and you don't owe them anything. So that's normally it. So if you want to block them or you want to ignore them or turn your computer off, that's totally fine. I will say, though, my videos generally only get a few bad comments when they go viral, and I think that's really important to remember that when you get a comment like that, it's not your community. Like you said, you can just block them or ignore them, but I really have fun when they'll say something like, oh, I bet your boat doesn't sail, and then the next video is sailing. So
Prove them wrong. Yeah, that's wonderful.
Yeah.
That's so good. If anyone in the audience also has questions, we have a microphone just over there. We've got about 10 minutes left of the panel, so if anyone has any questions, head over there.
Please ask
but I'll
us
give you another question just like before we get some people shuffling over there. What is the most important thing to remember when interacting with other people in the cosplay community? I mean, we've talked about social media, and that's usually just on your own. But when interacting with anyone out there, what's one thing that you think is the most important for you?
I think the most important thing is consent.
Yes, that makes sense.
But otherwise, just being your true self. I get a lot of people who come up to me like, Jem, I'm really nervous. And I'm like, me too. And remember, I'm also a nerd who's shy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, same thing. Just that, I mean, I'm not one of those people. Like, there are some people who take the kind of play aspect of cosplay really seriously, and they'll kind of act like the character.
Yeah.
I'm very not that. I go into full goblin mode as soon as someone approaches me. Everyone can attest to that. I have photos literally from yesterday of me going full goblin mode because I just needed to get the sillies out. But like when people approach me, just matching the energy is really a thing. Matching the energy, because obviously some people can be overwhelmed. So if they're coming at you quite quiet, it's like matching the quiet energy. Just being respectful, really, yeah.
Some good advice as well.
I do like to get just as excited as everyone else. Like, I'm just as excited to meet and say hi to everyone as they usually are to say hi to me as well. I swear outside of conventions, I'm quite quiet and shy and introverted. And at conventions, I'm like a werewolf. I just come out and I want to just chat with everyone. So I do try and also match energy, but a lot of the time I'm just as excited to meet everyone. So I think it's just nice to all come into the space together and just get excited together about the media and the fandoms that we love.
Yeah, wonderful. That's so sweet.
Literally everything they said, combine it. Yes.
Yes, perfect. Alrighty, I think we have two questions for you. If we'd like to go with our first one just over there.
Hi, thank you so much for coming to Perth. I'm kind of grateful that you still come here as we are neglected. My question is I know at the beginning you start doing professional cosplay, you still have work. I have a very sort of high demanding job and I am trying to start to making my own cosplays or do more professional, really good ones. How do you balance between your work hours and putting the effort of, creating the cosplay from scratch or whatever?
I'm a very old school individual where I like to map out my days. And I kind of break out, I map out, days that I will be working, the days that I'm available. And then I like to balance, my cosplay time, like my work time, with also my free time. Any like spare minute I have, like I try to make sure that there's like me time too, because if you are constantly just going from work to work to work to work, you're going to burn yourself out. Which you don't enjoy the cosplay process either. So find a balance, understand your pace as well when it comes to making particular costumes, your limitations in your skill sets and where you can advance those. But I would start off old school. I would map out and go, okay, what free time do I actually have to spare in order to make this like a business prospect, but also, where can I have time as well to enjoy either my life or cosplay for myself, and then just go from there regarding your skill set. To pace yourself.
Yeah, wonderful. Yeah. Maybe second half to Miss Twisted, perhaps.
Oh, yep.
So my thing when I first started was working full-time and then doing cosplay. I didn't like doing like after school or after work because you only had a couple of hours. I like to get on a roll, so I would always have, standard full-time job might be 5 days. You got 2 extra days there. One of those would be a cosplay day, pretty much entirely. And then the other one's chores and maybe hanging out with friends. So it would just be like a one time a week. And then I would sit down and get stuck in for 10 hours. The other thing I will mention is a lot of the time you'll see people that seem to churn out cosplays really quickly, either because they're doing it full time or they've got teams or they're buying them online and making edits and things like that. It's very normal to take a year or longer for a cosplay, especially if you're not doing it full time. So I think it's also totally normal to not feel like you have to rush to get things done in a short space of time, because you get these really unrealistic expectations when you see a lot of people online that seem to have a new costume every month. So feel free to just take your time with it and have it be a really long-term project if it's 2 hours a week,
I just want to give a really quick hot take.
Yeah, go for it.
I think, to answer your question very briefly, I think, to be honest, social media, people are kind of lying to their audience about how much stress they actually put themselves through. I think, to say, how do you balance it? Honestly, awfully. I have to tell my friends, come to my workshop, come visit me. And I'm very fortunate, I have a very good circle who will do that. But there are times where I look at my dogs and I go, oh my God, I have to walk you, and it's midnight. And honestly, quite badly. And I think the community should talk about that a little bit more, but we're all in it together. Just try and make sure you drink lots of water and you put your most important things first. Sometimes cosplay just isn't that important, and it's okay to go touch grass.
I'm currently in the thick of that because I am currently doing my master's degree, and that requires, my 20,000 word thesis that's due in 1 month. And so I'm very fortunate that I get paid to do that. So it's basically become my full-time job. which means that I have to dedicate full-time job hours to it, which means that I don't have a lot of time to work on the costume stuff. I actually get yelled at by my partner quite a bit because whenever I do have a free day, I immediately start thinking about what I need to do cosplay-wise, and then he yells at me about how, no, you wanted to play Claire Obscura, so you're going to do that today. You're going to sit down on this couch and not move for 8 hours, because otherwise you're not going to have any time to do actual free time stuff. So it's a very common thing that you will overexert yourself because you're trying to put all your eggs in all the baskets. But it's also, like I said, it's so fine to slowly work on one thing instead of having to get, like, again, this is kind of coming back to social media, which is that there's an unrealistic expectation about how many costumes you should be making in a year. But really, the biggest and best costumes, unless they're being actually paid for by a company who is, like, funding it and making you do full-time hours on it, most costumes will take at least 6 months, if not a year or longer. So as long, like, if you're literally getting one costume done a year, you're still sweet. Like,
Yeah.
you're still chipping away at it, and it's totally fine to work that way. I'm crap at scheduling, so I've never been able to do that. So, but I'm kind of similar actually to Twisted Witch, is that I do say, like, okay, well, if I can dedicate one day, like a fortnight, to just, that's all I do, is that you get 10 hours of that done, then it scratches the itch, and you're like, okay, I don't have to think about that for another week. So it's not like a definite answer for you or anything, but it's more of a solidarity with you, and that every cosplayer goes through that, especially at the beginning. Like, I'm a professional cosplayer, but I'm definitely part-time, casual kind of stuff, where it's like, it's very much, what do you call it, like seasonal work, freelance work. So you only get work when the work comes in, and every other time you have to be doing real job because capitalism.
Brilliant.
So yeah, that's kind of a non-answer, but more like I feel you.
Well, thank you so much for your question. And speaking of time and scheduling, I believe that brings our panel to a close. So thank you so much, each and every one of you, for joining us today. And a massive thank you to everyone in the audience. Please join us in giving a wonderful round of applause to all of our cosplay guests today. We will see you around the pavilions, and we hope you enjoy your weekend. But goodbye.